Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Generation Millennium. I'm your host, Jeffro Madness, and this is the 9th episode of our Pokemon Sword Visually Impaired playthrough. And last time, well, I was just wrapping things up, trying to get some loose ends going. Like I got the TM for Shadow Claw from Meowth here, and I also added some more members to our team, like Dracovish here. And also off screen, I evolved the Cosmog that we got in the last episode and evolved it to Solgaleo. And I also off screen got a couple of TRs, like getting Poison Jab for Urshifu. And that's really about it. Nothing of real craziness happened last episode, because mostly I was just stumbling around the giant's bed area of the Crown Tundra, just trying to I guess sort of wrap up everything you can do before you got any gym badges, even though I should have done that before, but I kind of forgot you can get Cosmog back then. I should probably mention that a majority of what I've been doing is really unscripted. I've just been going off of what I remember, so that's why things may seem a little out of order. But anyways, it's time to continue with the story, or rather, I should say wrap up the story, because now it's time to head to the stadium to commence with the final part of the gym challenge. But before we do that, Ball Guy should be around here. But what do you have for us this time? A Dream Ball. This was a ball exclusive to Pokemon that you would originally catch in the Dream World, which was a feature from Generation 5, which connected to both Pokemon Black and White, and as well as Black 2, White 2, which is how you would obtain Pokemon with their hidden abilities back then. And all Pokemon that you caught back then would all come with their hidden abilities, like I said, which is how you were getting access to something like, say, Sentret and Furt with their hidden ability Frisk, I believe is what it was. That's how you would get some of the starter Pokemon with their hidden abilities back then, I think. Although I think most of you who know about VGC back in the Gen 5 know about the Speed Boost Torchic being event exclusive, I think. But now, Dream Ball is now usable here. And our first battle is against Marty. Too bad you can't hear her music, because for this battle, they've given her like a new soundtrack. Like an updated version of her previous battle theme. And you start off with a Liepard. Yeah, you're just pure dark type. I think it's the ability Prankster. I think that's how you move before me. I don't recall how many Pokemon she has. Let's just send me off now and do the Gmax Gold Rush. That's right, I'm still gonna earn money. I mean, because why not? It's literal free money. I mean, the only way this would not work is if she brought like a Ghost Dark type, which in the base game, the only Ghost Dark type I can think of is Sableye. And then the next Ghost Dark type would be Spiritomb, but that's only in the Crown Tundra, so that doesn't... She won't have that in this story. Although, let's see. Those are only two Ghost Dark types that I can think of, and up until Gen 5, those Pokemon had no weaknesses. But then when Fairy type was introduced in Gen 6, Fairy type is now their Sableye and Spiritomb's only weakness. Which is rather interesting that all other type combinations, moves, they either just deal effective or not very effective damage. Scrafty, you have Intimidate? You do not, huh? I find it weird how her brother Piers is the one who has the Scrafty with Intimidate, but she does not. The 2 gold rushes down. Here, next one is a Toxicroak. Interesting enough, Toxicroak is a Pokemon but you probably wouldn't see in VGC very often. However, and any of you who know about the game that released on the Nintendo Wii back in the day called Pokemon Battle Revolution, that's a game that many people thought when Pokemon Sword and Shield were going to come out, like, they thought the battle graphics were going to be similar to that game because Battle Revolution has a lot of pretty good graphics about it. Because for those of you who have played PBR, like, that game has like all sorts of battle animations that you would wish were in this game because, like, for example, if a Pokemon were to use like Bite in PBR, the Pokemon would literally run up to the Pokemon, and while they don't actually show the teeth, like, literally chomping down the Pokemon, I mean, at least they're running up to the opponent. And moves like Double Kick, they actually show the Pokemon running up and actually performing the kick. So yeah, a lot of moves that deal like physical damage, they actually like show the animation, which is what people were expecting for this game since, you know, Nintendo Switch is a lot stronger console, but that's not what we got. But then again, considering that PBR was a game that was completely combat focused, to like no mini games whatsoever in that game, it was just all about combat, so I guess they had the game capacity just focus on the battle animations. This game, not so much. There's lots more animations to be programmed in. Although surprisingly, I actually heard about an interview that was done. Apparently, reason why Sword and Shield, like graphic-wise and maybe lots of other decisions that were made, they seem terrible, is because Game Freak has a policy of having their younger staff members have more opportunities to shine and gain experience, while their older, more experienced members are, I don't know, working on other projects. So because of that, that's why like the B team who focus on the DLC, I think they're probably full of mostly younger employees. So that's why things may not seem as well polished. On top of that, as mentioned, the younger teams and less experienced members also apparently also asked some of the older members for assistance from time to time, so that also halted production to a point. So yeah, it's rather interesting to know that Game Freak has a policy of letting the younger members gain more experience, which is both good and bad, because if it was for like a different project that they did that kind of thing with, like maybe, I think there was one game that released called Town or something a while back. If they did it with Town, that would have been better, but for a large franchise like Pokemon that people are expecting great things from, that's not exactly the best philosophy to go with, because lots of people are not satisfied with these games. I mean, Sword and Shield aren't like the worst, but they're not the best. And here is yet another battle with Hop. Huh, and this time he does not have a slapsticks thing to go alongside with what he was doing. And hopefully this time around, I don't think he does any... Oh, obligatory speech, never mind. But during this battle, I don't think he makes any comments if you land a super effective or critical hit. So let's see, I'm gonna go for the snipe shot. Let's see if I get a critical hit on him. Did he crit? Does he comment? He does not! Cool, I can go for super effective hits then. He's gonna let the sun out. Big Kirchin. I'll go for Meowth now. I forget exactly, but I think Pincurchin was... wait, are you a Lola or Galar? Oh no, you're Galar. I was thinking Pyukumuku. That's a Lola. Gen 7. Pincurchin I think is Gen 8. And I think I was mentioning at one time, but I can easily get sidetracked. But at one point I was like talking about a variety of Pokemon that get access to the Surge moves as their hidden abilities in this game. Just like how they made in Gen 7 they gave some Pokemon access to more weather abilities. So Pincurchin can get access to Electric Surge as its hidden ability. Galarian Weezing gets Misty Surge as its hidden ability. The starter Rillaboom gets access to Grassy Surge as its hidden ability. And I think the Pokemon that gets Psychic Surge as hidden ability in this game would be the Pokemon Indeedee. Oh yeah, that's another Pokemon that can appear in the Glimwood Tangled area all the way back when. The area that leads to Boundly, the Fairy-type gym. And funny enough, Indeedee is another one of many Pokemon released in the Galar region that has a form difference, this one based on its gender. And even Indeedee's stats are different depending on whether it's male or female, as well as its standard abilities. But both forms' hidden abilities are... what'd you call it? Psychic Surge. But seriously, Galar released so many Pokemon with different forms, like you have Sidestine and Poltegeist with phony and authentic forms. You have Toxtricity with its Locate Amp form. Indeedee male, female forms. You have Alcremie with its 63 different forms, 70 if you include its 7 shiny forms on top of that. Like seriously, there are way too many forms in the Galar region. So they are your Cinders now, huh? Hehe, I'll finish you off with Dracovish. I don't think I paid attention in the last episode to what Fish's Rent's animation looks like. I never actually watched the animation because each time I use Dracovish, I use it in the Battle Tower. Therefore, since that animation turned off, I never bothered to see the animation for the attack. I think he's gonna Dynamax his Cinderace. Yep. And I think it's just a regular Cinderace, not G-Max. Because, funny enough, while G-Max starters were coded into the game at this point, when the game first released, they were not available. Yep, just regular Cinderace. The Galar starters did not get access to their G-Max forms until the Isle of Armor release, and the only way you do that is with the Max Soup feature. Reason why that occurred... Oh, I forgot, because he's trying to get D-Max. We don't get to see the animation. But anyways, I was saying, like, main reason why they did that is because, like, lots of people, like, once they choose their starter and they use it to finish the main story, they pretty much just put their starters in the PC box and just leave them there. Game Freak wanted to incentivize, I think that's how you pronounce it, or they just want players to actually use their starters and Pokemon they use during the main adventure, and actually use them more. So that's why here in Sword and Shield they brought in a bunch of items to make their starters and other Pokemon more competitively viable. Like for example, you could use either the EV reducing berries, or you can also use an NPC you can find on the Isle of Armor to reset your Pokemon's EVs back down to 0. And then using those vending machines in the Isle of Armor, you can use those to get a bunch of vitamins to then max out your starter's EVs. From the Battle Tower, or you can also find them scattered around the Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra in the wild, you can find what's known as Nature Mints. So say for Inteleon here for example, I could give it a Modest or Timid Mint, which would boost its special attack or speed, respectively, and just increases damage output. But once we reach level 100, you could then use bottle caps or gold bottle caps to then hyper train and max out their IVs. I mean, technically max out their IVs. They're not really maxed out, they just appear maxed out, but that's another thing that's available. You can use ability patches to then give your starter their hidden abilities. Of course, you can use TRs and TMs to give them different attacks. Dynamax candies to max out their Dynamax level. In which, for those of you wondering, not sure I mentioned that either before, but when you give Pokemon 10 Dynamax candies and max out their Dynamax level, this just means when they Dynamax or G-Max or whatever in battle, it just doubles their HP. That's about it. And let's see, then of course using the Max Soup, you can then give your starter its G-Max form as well as other Pokemon. So yeah, with all these things available, you can effectively just take your starter Pokemon and continuously use it throughout the main story. Because most times people would just then begin to breed their starter for max IVs, egg moves, shininess, things like that. So while you can breed the starters for shiny, if you don't care about that, you can now still use a starter as you see fit. And I think I had something else on my mind. Give me a moment, I'm gonna just spam through dialogue here while I try to remember what I was just thinking about talking about. Like I said, I get easily distracted, even by my own dialogue. But for those of you who are wondering, at this point, well, we've pretty much gone through the preliminaries of the championship battles by taking out the other two competitors who wanted to participate in the gym challenge. So now we're qualified to enter the final tournament where we're going to eventually battle against all the gym leaders. But before that, we're supposed to have a meeting with Leon, but something's holding him up. And as it turns out, these people who are apparently call themselves Macrocosmos members are somehow involved in just stalling us for time, preventing us from checking on Leon. So now we gotta beat down their organization before we can quote-unquote rescue Leon, so we can have that little nighttime dinner meeting with him. I don't know. And while we're in the middle of all these battles, Team Yells is here in the background going to give us support. Because, well, they're Marty's fanboys, and since she's on our side, they're on our side. And similar to the Opal gym, now we're going to get some stat boosts from these guys. And I still can't remember what I was talking about. Let's see, I was talking about Pokemon, Dynamaxing, getting Pokemon ready for competitive. Oh yeah, I think I mentioned about how you can get Pokemon egg moves. So originally, like for example, let's say you were in the wild area and you caught or you're just participating in online raids, and you caught like let's say a Gigantamax Corviknight. Well, here's the thing, this is before the Out of Armor, so at this point it's no longer really as relevant, but before Out of Armor came out, you cannot bring down the Gmax factor. So then let's say you had a Gmax Corviknight that you had used Nature Mints on, you had Hyper Trained it, used Experience Candies to max it out level 100, Dynamax Candies, that works. However, you wanted to have a couple of egg moves, but unfortunately, like I said, the Gmax factor cannot be passed down. So then now you're stuck with a Corviknight that cannot get its it can't get the egg move that you want. Like say, I think Roost is one of its egg moves. But then you have this Corviknight that you actually did breed, a regular Corviknight that has its egg move Roost. But like I said, this is before the Out of Armor, so it's not G-maxed. So then what do you do? Well, as it turns out, you actually can give a G-max Pokemon or any Pokemon access to the egg moves. The main factor though is that they have to be of the same species, so even though if you bred like say a Rookidee that had the Roost egg move, this would not work. It had to be Pokemon of the same species. So a Rookidee and a Corviknight, even though they're part of the same evolutionary line, since they're not the same species of Pokemon, this does not work. So you need to have two Corviknights for this. One with the egg move and one without. So how this would work is that first off, the Corviknight, the G-Max one, the one you want to pass the egg move onto, you would have to go to the move deleter in the Pokemon Center and then delete any move on it. Just make sure you need to have an open space for a new move available on the G-Max one. And then, let's say that the Corviknight that you want that does have Roost, let's say it has multiple egg moves, make sure the egg move you want to pass down, like priority-wise, is in the first move slot. So put Roost on the top. And then you put both of these Pokemon into any Pokemon nursery, run around for a bit, probably as long as it would take to receive an egg from the nursery, and then go back to the nursery, and then if you take out your Corviknight, the one that has the G-Max factor on it, if you look at its moves, it should now have the egg move Roost on it. So yeah, that's how you can pass down egg moves to Pokemon, even the G-Max ones, or you just want to pass it down to other Pokemon that you've acquired, like say one that you transferred from previous generations. There's a nifty feature that was added in. And I think that's all the Macrocosmos grunts made to take out at this point. So I think we're now going to run over to the train station. We're going to encounter a blockade. Yep, cutscene. Let me see if I can turn on the turbo function on my controller. See, I can just hold down the A button so that I don't have to keep spamming it. Input the train station, and now we have a blockade. Are we talking, folks? Hello? Oop. I'm trying to turn on the turbo functionality, but I don't think it's working. Stampede! So, I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. I never bothered reading the text and whatnot. But now we're going to take a train over to what's effectively known as the Rose Tower, because this is apparently where Chairman Rose is, I don't know, holding Leon hostage, or just they're just having a very long discussion. So now we're just gonna bust in and just apparently attempt to rescue him. And we're also about to enter a bunch of double battles with Hop, who is going to effectively be useless in these battles. But on the bright side, he heals you after every battle, so I guess that's something. So it's kind of like those NPCs from BDSP, or just the Sinnoh games in general, in which whenever you go into those co-op battles, they heal you after every battle. I don't know, maybe you could consider this somewhat of a callback or premonition to those games that were going to be coming out. Although funny enough, speaking of Sinnoh games, there was actually, as of the recording of this episode, earlier this morning, apparently there was a 13-minute gameplay video for Legends Arceus that came out. I'm going to probably maybe make a reaction video to that later. My priority is just taking care of this right now. Because the sooner I get rid of this part of the story, the happier I'll be. And as I was like rambling and griping about before, this is the section of the game where there are just a ton of battles. And the game is essentially just throwing you free experience before you have to finally take on Leon. And FYI, this place here is currently known as the Rose Tower. This is actually where the Battle Tower is eventually. Although right now it's known as Rose Tower, and they show us a little cool logo there. Although I suppose get used to looking at the scenery right now, because this is the only time we get to actually see this elevator. Because once this becomes the Battle Tower, they'll just take us straight to the battle rooms themselves, and that's pretty much about it. Although apparently this tower, because of its location and how it was built or something, I don't know how it works, but apparently we have the ability to Dynamax in this tower eventually. I mean, not in these battles, in the middle of the elevator, we can't Dynamax, but eventually we can. And as usual, Hop sounds out his double. What level is he anyway? His double level 49, and our opponents are 48 and 48. So Hop is only one level better than these guys. But since they're over 50 levels under us, one-hit KOs are so to be expected. Alright, Double, what are you gonna do? The heck was that? And then there's only one Pokemon left. I think all of these trainers work. They're gonna be battling us here in the elevator. They only have one Pokemon each, so it's a double battle. I was tempted to just give like Inteleon Surf for this portion, so I could just one-hit KO everything on the field. And while that make things funny, and probably make these battles go a lot faster, then we'd have to run back to the Pokemon Center and teach Night Shot again, which would be annoying. Yep, there you go, Hop heals us. We go up a couple floors, and we get interrupted. Wait, do these guys have names? Oh, they do. Which is good, which means the developers actually thought about giving them names. Wait, who? What they say now? Mawile and what? And Mawile's Intimidate, of course. Which means now your double is now useless, Hop. Mawile and... oh, Glenn. Yeah, excuse me. Lots of fans out there are still clamoring for Mega Evolutions to come back. And I think one of those reasons for Pokemon like, say, Mawile, because Mawile is one of those Pokemon whose base stat total is terrible, which is why when it got a Mega Evolution, it became a literal monster when it got access to the ability Huge Power. Because not only did Mawile's attack set like skyrocket, but with its ability Huge Power, it made it even more of a beast. Combined with the fact you can moves like Sucker Punch, and then when it's under Trick Room, you can then just sweep things with Player of an Iron Head. It was one of the more popular Megas used back in X and Y format, alongside like a Kangaskhan. Like I think the top 3 Pokemon I saw being used back then were like Mega Mawile, Mega Kangaskhan, in terms of Megas, but the occasional Mega Charizard Y. And then for non-Megas, Talonflame, one of the Rotom forms, I think Rotom Heat and Rotom Wash were the more popular ones used. Aegislash was definitely a popular choice. The X and Y format was a bit bizarre. Although when Sajin Park... wait, no, not Sajin Park. Wait. Was Sajin? No, Sajin was 2013, wasn't he? I forgot who won the 2014 World Championship. Wait, was that Sajin? I'm terrible. It's been a long time since I watched the World Championships back then, but essentially the World Championship team he had Pachirisu, which was like the MVP of that battle. He had Garchomp, Gardevoir, Talonflame. I think his team also had a Gothitelle and Mega Gyarados as an option. But anyways, like that Pachirisu had its hidden ability Volt Absorb. So like say if he had his Mega Gyarados or just Gyarados in general out, he could use Follow Me to direct any electric type moves like Thunderbolt or Thunder on Pachirisu, therefore negating the electric attack and gaining back HP if he needed it. Pachirisu also had the usual move Protect because pretty much all VGC Pokemon run Protect. So then his 2 other moves he used on Pachirisu were Nuzzle, which is a physical electric type move which is pretty weak but is guaranteed to paralyze the opponent, so it's slightly better than using Thunder Wave. Because not only are you doing a little bit of damage, but you're also paralyzing, so that's a nice bonus. And the last attack was Super Fang, which always cuts the opponent's HP in half. Which may not sound that important, but it can make all the difference by cutting the opponent's HP in half. And here we have Oleana challenging us to a battle, the last obstacle in our way before we can get to Chairman Rose and Leon. Oh, they call our macrocosmoses. Oleana. And yep, as you can see there, we got Dynamax Energy. So first Pokemon she sounds out is Frostlass. We'll just Shadow Ball you. Yeah, great. You make an obligatory statement about super effective hits too. Alright, I think at this point, I want to just get G-Max Meowth out of the way now because thank you game for giving me more opportunities to make money! Still don't understand why there are some moments when you send out your Pokemon and there's like a 1 to 2 second pause before the shiny sparkle animation plays out. Like that one there's no delay. But like back when I used it back in like Winden Stadium, there was a couple times when it delayed. Don't know why that happened. So anyways, like, my current team composition, I don't think I said it earlier, but I brought in the partner cat Pikachu because one, it was shiny, and two, I just wanted to use it and show it off a bit. But the reason why I replaced it with Solgaleo is because I wanted my team to be full of Pokemon that you would naturally obtain throughout your playthrough. Unfortunately, partner cat Pikachu is one that has not naturally gotten through a playthrough, expansion pass or not. So that's how I took him out and replaced it with Solgaleo. Although you're probably looking to be like, wait a minute, what about Zacian? That was not obtained naturally through the story. Well, regular Zacian is not the shiny one, but Zacian is still attainable. So I could have easily just brought in a non-shiny Zacian and used the same argument, so that's why he's still on the team. Not to mention I'm playing Pokemon Sword. Why shouldn't I have Zacian on my team already, even though I'm technically not supposed to have him yet? I also find interesting that Oleana's team is full of Pokemon that generally have pretty high female... I mean, Salazzle can only be Salazzle if it's female, and Frostlass can only be Frostlass if it's female. I think her Serena and Milotic were also female, though I didn't check, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were. Now since I'm Garbodor, I think it's time I gave Solgaleo a chance to shine. One interesting thing I find about Solgaleo, its ability, I forget its name, it's like Steel Body or something like that. But long story short, effectively what its ability is, it's essentially just a legendary version of Clear Body, so no matter what you do, you cannot lower its stats with your whatever moves that you use. I mean, it can still lower its stats if you use a move like, I think you can learn Superpower, but if you try to do something like Sand Attack, Intimidate, none of those would work on Solgaleo. And yeah, Oleana's G-Max is a Garbodor of all things. Take that! You don't stand a chance against a legendary, even if your HP is doubled. Yeah, roar in appreciation. How much money do you give us? 14, and there's the 99,999. And now that we've beaten Oleana, do we have to move forward manually? No, I think it's just straight cutscene. What? And then we take it to this weird angle shot of these two are just having a conversation? I mean, we're just seeing like their model sprays of some kind. They're like talking in the darkness background. I mean, what's going on? Well, effectively, what's going on here, Chairman Rose is telling Leon about the darkest day, that in the future, Galar Region's energy will run out and Dynamaxing will become impossible. And Leon, he's like, yeah, I'm fully willing to help you out with that. However, that's something that's going to happen in the future. waiting a couple of days is not going to make that big of a difference, so I want to focus on the championship battles, because I'm the champion, that's my obligation. And Rose is exasperated with Leon because he's like, you don't understand, if we wait too long, it may be too late, we need to act now. But Leon is stubborn and is saying that he wants to focus on the championship that's taking place the next day, which is now. So, yeah, that's why they're taking so long. They're arguing back and forth about what their priority should be. A little surprising though that this takes place, like, the climax of this story event is taking place after you get your 8th badge, because the usual custom in a lot of Pokemon games is like the major conflict of the story usually takes place by the time you get your 7th badge or so. Like the major conflict in Kanto occurs when Team Rocket takes over the Sylph Company. That technically takes place when you have around 5 to 6 badges, I think. In Johto games, by the time you are playing 7 badges, that's when Team Rocket takes over the radio tower, and that's when the main conflict of that story takes place. In the Hoenn region, you need I think it's called the Mine Badge from from Mossy City, the one where you battle Tate and Liza. That's the 7th badge, that's when the climax of that story takes place. In Sinnoh, the main conflict at Spear Pillar takes place after you get the 7th badge at Snow Point. I guess your Nova is similar. The main conflict of that game takes place, well, funny enough, after you defeat the Elite Four. And you don't get to battle the champion because N, he defeats the champion Alder, and therefore technically becomes champion of Legion himself, so you then take on him. And his... was Getsus his biological father or adoptive father? I never paid attention to that fact, but either way, you then have to defeat Getsus in the final battle, and then if you want to actually become true champion to fight Alder, you have to battle him in the post-game, which he has a stronger team. Not exactly good gameplay design there, because, oh god, the level spike in Pokemon Black and White from when you initially beat the story to the post-game is staggering. Let's see, in this 6th generation X and Y Kalos, trying to remember, I think that one, the main climax also happens after you gain the 7th badge from the Psychic Gym. I think it's, what's it called, Anastar City? That's when Lysander initiates his plan to use the ultimate weapon to destroy and rebuild the Kalos region. In Alola, well, it depends if you played the original Sun and Moon or not, or all the Ultra games. But essentially the main climax occurs when you get to the final island, Pony Island. But it pretty much happens after you defeat the Dragon Child at the top of the Vast Pony Canyon. And then you have your Galar. We're just going through all these obligatory battles. And here's Bede returning, requesting a battle with us. Because he's now been trained by Opal, and now it seems full of fairy types like this Mawile here. Who so brutally decided to use Intimidate on us. We'll take him out. Now I'll switch out to Meowth so I can get money. This may just seem like rinse and repeat to you guys, and I'm sorry for that, but I can't help it. It's free cash. Even though I could just as easily use the Luxury Ball exploit again. I mean, may as well just get the money while I have the opportunity to do so. And for those of you who might be curious, I still have the Lucky Incense on Inteleon and the Silk Scarf on my GX Meowth, so therefore GX Meowth can deal more damage. And since Inteleon goes into battle first, it pretty much ensures that I get double the prize money. And also, in order for you to get the max amount of money from GMAX Gold Rush, you actually do need either the Amulet Coin or Lucky Incense active on a Pokemon when you send them into battle, so yeah, make sure you have, I should have mentioned that before, but you need access to both one of those two items, as well as G-Max Meowth using his G-Max Gold Rush 3 times in battle in order to get the full money. Still think some people are upset the fact that Galarian Ponyta, Galarian Rapidash, or Galarian Ponyta is just a pure Psychic type, and then when it evolves in Galarian Rapidash, it becomes Psychic Fairy. I think we were just hoping it would just be a pure Fairy type. I mean, it's a freaking unicorn. It should be a pure Fairy type. Wait, did I use G-Max Gold Rush 3 times? Shoot, I lost track. If you notice, like, Beads has 3 Psychic Fairy types on his team. I mean, seriously, he had Gardevoir, he had Galarian Rapidash, and now he sends out a Hatterene. These 3 all are Psychic types, which coincides with his original team composition, and they're also part Fairy type. And yes, this is a G-Max Hatterene he's using. And that throw of his was a little bizarre. I think if G-Max Hatterene lands as G-Max move, I think it causes confusion to all its opponents on if you're like doing a double battle. But that's not gonna matter. I think we knocked down one hit anyway. Although I forget if it's G-Max move, it goes off a Psychic attack or Fairy type move. I'm guessing since it causes confusion, it probably goes off Psychic. But what's cool is that it also has access to its hidden ability Magic Bounce, which is actually one of the more effective competitive abilities out there, because let's say for example your opponent used a move like Sticky Web to attempt to set up an entry hazard, or they use a move like Sleep Powder or Thunder Wave to put status on you. Magic Bounce's ability, it reflects all of that back onto your opponent's side of the field. So let's say your Butterfree used Sleep Powder. Magic Bounce would send it right back to Butterfree, therefore putting it to sleep. Accuracy check does not matter, it'll always connect when Magic Bounce is activated. And then of course, entry hazards like Stealth Rock, Spikes, Toxic Spikes, Sticky Web would get to your side of the field. So then that means in order to get rid of it, you would have to use a move like Rapid Spin, because that's the only way you can get rid of entry hazards. Or if you have another ability, then you could use that to get rid of the stats effects, but Magic Bounce is a pretty cool ability. It's one that you should probably, I don't know, like put onto like the bench of your Pokemon team composition, and one you should probably think about if you ever think about putting a Pokemon like that on your team. And here's Golisopod. This is one of those weird Pokemon from Gen 7 that its ability is Emergency Exit, when its HP goes under 50%. Emergency Exit will immediately switch it out. Kind of like a U-turn of sorts, except the ability immediately forces it out. It was also the first Pokemon to gain access to the move First Impression, which kind of acts like Fake Out, in which it only works on the first turn the Pokemon is sent out onto the field, and it has priority to hit the opponent first. But unlike Fake Out, it does not flinch. So I suppose if you were to bring a Pokemon like Golisopod out against, like, say, a Psychic type Pokemon, then it could be devastating. But in Gen 8, I think I don't know how many other Pokemon got First Impression, but I know for a fact that I think Phalanx gets it. And I think I forget, it was either the original Cantonian Farfetch'd or Galarian Farfetch'd. I think one of those two also gets First Impression. Those are the only two Pokemon I can think of at the top of my head. Although if it's Cantonian Farfetch'd, that's a terrible idea because its base stat total is terrible, which is why they gave it a Galarian form, turning into a fighting type, which was pretty cool. And then also gave it an evolution in the form of Surfetch'd. I mean, it's not very fast Pokemon, but dang is that powerful, especially when it has its signature move. What's it called? Meteor Burst? Something like that. I think it was like a... Meteor Burst was like a fighting type version of Hyper Beam? Either that or it was another form of like Sky Attack, one of those two. Either way, not exactly one you would see in competitive battles. Like the only time you would probably see a move like Hyper Beam on a Pokemon. Well, it depends on what the battle style is. Like back in Generation 6 when they did like a lot of like online competitions during the time period of Mega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, they were very creative about what kind of competitions they would create back then. One of my favorite was known as the Flash Cup. Like you would register a team of 6 Pokemon for the competition. However, whenever you entered battle against another player, you only chose one Pokemon on your team to use. And the main goal was to finish off your opponent as quickly as possible. So some people, they would be cheeky, they would bring a Pokemon like say, was holding a Focus Sash or had the Sturdy ability, and then they would use the move Counter in order to dish back damage and hopefully knock out your opponent in a single hit. Or they would be cheeky and say they would use a strategy that involved like a Azumarill. And then Azumarill, I think it would have, I forget which ability it would have. But essentially its main premise is to use its egg move, Perish Song. And with a combination of moves of like Dive and Protect, because it was like usually slower than the opponent, Perish Song would knock it out last. And therefore, since your Pokemon was the, since your Pokemon, the Azumarill, was the one who got knocked out last, it would survive, and then you would technically win off of Perish Song. It was a very cheeky and evil strategy, and I noticed because I faced off against those kinds of strategies. So that was a pretty interesting competition back then. Another interesting competition back in the day of Gen 6, because that's when I did a lot of online competitions, was known as the Pikachu Cup, in which all players were required to have use electric-type Pokemon, with at least one of those Pokemon being a Pikachu. At least I think that was the requirement. And then, I don't know how they calculated, but I think if everyone used, if a certain number of teams actually like had a Pikachu on their team, or they used it in battle, it was like a double battle format competition, then I think like all players would eventually get a mystery gift or email or something or other that gave them access to a special Pikachu. It wasn't shiny, unfortunately, but it had a move that Pikachu does not normally learn at that point in time. I think the moves they got access to, that special Pikachu got Endeavor, Endure, and Fake Out. I think those are the 3 special moves on it, along with Volt Tackle. And oh yeah, I think I also had this hidden ability, Lightning Rod, because I think that's the Pikachu, because I recall during the VGC of 2016, Wolfie Click then used a Raichu in battle that had Endeavor and Fake Out on it, so I'm pretty sure that was from the Pikachu Cup event. Especially since it also had Lightning Rod as an ability. And dang, when I saw him using a Raichu of all things in a format full of like powerful Primal, Legendaries, and Mega Rayquaza, oh yeesh. And I spent so much time talking, I didn't even notice who I was battling. Wait, is that B? Is fighting type? Yep, Halucha. Fighting type. So at this point, if you're playing Pokemon Shield, you would be facing the Ghost type gym leader. And once again, it's time for Meowth to shine. Which means if you're playing Pokemon Shield, you cannot do this right now because Meowth is a normal type and its G-Max Gold Rush cannot hit Ghost type Pokemon. And unfortunately, Meowth does not gain access to the Scrappy ability, so it cannot hit Ghost types anyway. And I don't think it can get any items. I don't think there are any items that allow Ghost types or Fighting types to hit Ghost types. At least I don't think so. At least not off the top of my head, because I think I mentioned this also previously, but I'm just going off of my memory for this entire playthrough. I have no Cerebi open, I have no video walkthroughs open, no notes. I have no script. This is just purely off of, well, I guess you could say I'm ad-libbing to a point. Or I'm improvising, there we go. That's the term. You're saying there, Foundling's Nest. Hey, that's the guy I was just talking about. The little centipede Pokemon you can find in the ruins section of Route 8. Oh yeah, and Phalanx also gets access to its own signature move. I think it was called No Restriction. It essentially just gives Phalanx an Omni boost in exchange for not being able to switch out. Oh wait, the move's called No Retreat, I think. That's what it's called. And here's Grapploct. Funny thing about this guy, when I first saw him, like, he was in the water section of Route 9, like, and Grapploct, I mean, it's obviously based off an octopus, so, or maybe a squid, one of those two. I mean, it's called Grapploct Octopus, I think it's based on octopus then. But because it was in the water section, I thought it was a water type. So I was hitting it with like electric type and grass type moves, but then I saw it was doing effective damage. I'm like, what's going on here? So then when I finally actually managed to catch the guy, I was like, say what now? Yeah, I was pretty surprised when I learned it was actually a fighting type. I mean, it's cool the fact that they brought a Pokemon like that can live in the water and give it a different typing than the general typings, but at the same time it was confusing. So misleading and quite a surprise, and while I was not exactly happy about that when it originally happened, I was still surprised, and it's a type of good surprise, so good on the team at Game Freak for coming up with that one. I wonder if I could see the signature move, even though he's going to G-Max as a champ. Because I don't think they only show animations when I'm facing off against non-G-Max Pokemon. Unless you're using Zacian, Zamazenta, or Eternatus, I think those are the only ones whose moves animations get shown when they're facing off against a Dynamax Pokemon, because they're meant to be used like that. Yep, no animation. And once again, B, you are no match for me. So sorry. Celebrate Solgaleo. Roar like the proud lion you are. And Simba, remember. Maybe I should name him Simba. This isn't a Nuzlocke, no need to give nicknames. Plus, if I gave too many nicknames, I would most likely just begin to forget who was who eventually. Because I have given way too many Pokemon and way too many nicknames over the past, like, in Gen 6 and 7, I had nicknames like virtually every single Pokemon I used for, like, casual competitive battling. So I would get those guys extremely confused with the Pokemon I would be using in, like, a Nuzlocke playthrough, so that's why I usually avoid giving nicknames. Nope, stay in the middle, stay in the middle. That was a terrible entrance. I know I was trying to see if I can get my Puck Trainer to walk straight forward, but that didn't work that time. It's rematch time, sir. Are you gonna have a better team this time? Oh yeah, I probably should have mentioned that when you face off against the gym leaders here at the Winden Stadium, they all have different theme battles right now. Like, you're not hearing the gym leader battle music, you're hearing like a specialized theme that you only hear, like, the gym trainers use at this point. And rather than Sandstorm, I see you've brought the Drought. Which means my water type attacks aren't going to deal as much damage. Poop. But I'll still attack anyway. Say goodbye to your Torkoal. Surprisingly though, using Torkoal with Drought is actually a rather common strategy used in double battles if you want to use certain combination, like say a G-Max Venusaur with Chlorophyll as its ability, which for those of you who don't know, Chlorophyll doubles the Pokemon's speed when it's in sunlight, so since you brought out Torkoal in double battle alongside G-Max Venusaur, its speed stats gets doubled, even when the G-Max is. And then Torkoal can use moves like, well, his main usage is being pretty slow, but also having access to the move Yawn, which will cause the Pokemon to get drowsy, and if it does not get switched out on the following turn, it will fall asleep. So this usually prompts the opponent whose Pokemon gets Yawn to switch out that Pokemon to another one, so they do not fall asleep due to Yawn, which then means they waste a turn switching out their Pokemon, which is usually what the person who uses Yawn wants them to do. Because one turn of wasting a turn switching out your Pokemon is a turn that can really cost you the match. Whereas G-Max Venusaur, Torkoal's partner, on the other hand, their job, well, G-Max Venusaur can do a variety of things. And since if you're going to use Chlorophyll, that means you're probably going to give it a timid nature, so we can have a higher speed stat. But then his main focus could be using like Sleep Powder to put another Pokemon. Oh wait, I didn't mean to use that move. Shoot! No, oh no. I think I have to use Poison Jab. It's a poison type move. It has no effect on Duraludon. Oh no, major misplay. This is one of those times I wish that they show you like hey, you wanna confirm like you're attacking this Pokemon? That only appears in max raid battles and double battles. That does not appear in single battles. Yep, no effect. This is gonna hurt. And then raises your attack stat. What fighting type move does Duraludon get? Okay, make sure I'm making the right moves now. Close combat. There we go. Aha! Revenge! I mean, I didn't use the move Revenge, but you get the point. Take that. One hit KO'd. Say farewell, Skyscraper. You have nothing on me. Your selfies mean nothing. My pictures look more fabulous. And thanks for the free money. And now we've gone through all the gym trainers and the... Well, I mean, there are technically more gym leaders, but I guess... Well, as you saw before, this was like a tournament bracket, and I technically won the tournament bracket. Yeah, see, all these other trainers. There were 7 gym leaders plus me, I believe. And I won to win my way through the bracket. So now I've earned the right to face against Leon after these short messages and dialogues. In which, reaching the end of the episode mark. I won't end things off here. I want to get to a different point before I get to that. Because why not? We're about to take on Leon. May as well get this battle over with now. Let's go, Leon. I challenge you. Stay in the middle. Stay in the middle. Middle. Dang it. It's time, Leon. You shall be defeated. You just don't stand a chance against my 6 level 100s that I guess I technically shouldn't have, but whatever. That's it. No special animation. We're just gonna talk and then go to our places on the battlefield. Boring. Huh? Wait, what's going on? What are you doing? What's going on? Huh? Wait. Monitor. Huh? What's on screen? Chairman Rose, what are you doing? Wait. What's about darkness? Darkest day? What? Yeah, for those of you who don't know, yeah. Rose is extremely impatient. Since Leon doesn't want to cooperate with this plan, he's unleashing the darkest day to give Gala the energy it needs now before it runs out in like, I don't know, centuries, millennia. But apparently he can't control the energy, and now there's a lot of drama going on, and Leon's gonna go take care of things over at the power plant. Which, for those of you who don't remember, the power plant is located under the Hammerlock Gym. So that's where Leon's going because, once again, he's the adult, he's the champion, this is his business, he's the one who's gonna take care of it. He doesn't care about what we are doing. So Hop is like, there's gotta be something we can do. Wait a minute, should we go ask for the help of the legendary Pokemon? Where did all those notes say that they were? Wait, do you think they're... And then he asked you a question like, where do you think we should go? Where are they located? Like, and I was like, the slumbering wheel? I mean, that's where we first saw them. And Hop's like, oh yeah, that's where we first found them. Okay, yeah, let's go back home. And then, like, we apparently meet up with our parents, our mothers, and they're like, yeah, we don't know about the drama that's going on, but we're rooting for you, even though we should be watching you on TV. And like, yeah, we're here to take care of a problem, so don't worry about it, we'll take care of it. It's like, okay, we'll trust you with that, we'll just give you 3 Max Revives just in case. Yeah, thanks for those, I'm sure that'll be a huge help. And then we get taken straight here into the slumbering wheel. And I guess I'll show off this part too, because once again, it's not exactly a good place to stop off because... Dang it! I was hoping I could get through this entire first section without having to bump into anything. So our goal here is to get through the slumbering wheel. The first section is just, as it was at the beginning of the game, full of just low-level Pokemon, waiting to get through these first patches of grass, which is a lot faster for us to move now because now I have access to a Rotom bike, so moving on is faster. And now we move into the foggy area, the one in which Zacian or Zamazenta prevent you from going further into, but now we can actually move further into the forest. In which, now you see a high-level encounters like Orbeetles, Corviknights, Galarian Weezings, and the random Munna for some reason. But for those of you who may have seen my clip about Galarian Weezing, this is where you can encounter them. And for those of you who may not have watched that particular video, Galarian Weezing is annoying because of its ability, Neutralizing Gas. When Neutralizing Gas, it's an ability that prevents you from, well, it prevents all other abilities on the field from activating. So therefore, if you brought a Pokemon with a damp ability, Neutralizing Gas would negate damp's effects. Therefore, your Weezing can still use Self-Destruct. Or Explosion. Which would be a bad time, especially if you encounter a shiny Weezing in the wild. So then, how do you catch it if it has a chance of just killing itself? Well, in the base game, when the first game came out, there wasn't really a solution. That is until the Isle of Armor is released in expansion pass portion of the DLC, and the Pokemon Golduck is the solution. Golduck gains access to the egg move Simple Beam. And as a little side note, all Pokemon in the game since Generation 3 are given abilities, no matter how bad they are, no matter how weak they are, no matter how pointless they may seem, like Unknown getting the ability to levitate. All Pokemon are given an ability of some kind. Simple Beam replaces any of their abilities with the ability Simple, which is effectively means they have no ability now. So what you have to do is bring in Golduck against Galarian Weezing, use Simple Beam. It will turn Neutralize the Gas into Simple, and because Neutralize the Gas is no longer active on the battlefield, its effects are therefore negated, or neutralized in this case. So therefore, if you had Golduck on the field still, its ability Damp will now be able to activate again, which means Galarian Weezing can no longer self-destruct, which means you can now focus on catching it. So yeah, that's a little interesting tidbit for you to know there. And if you want to take things further, like say on one tier you use Simple Beam to get rid of neutralizing gas, and then usually Galarian Weezing would probably most likely use Explosion or self-destruct immediately on the first turn, because that's usually what it's programmed to do. On the following turn, you could then use Golduck's Disable to disable the self-destructed move. And once you've done that, you could probably just switch out to another Pokemon that knows maybe something like Thunder Wave and False Swipe, like say maybe Gallade. And after you immediately have already used False Swipe and Thunder Wave to put status and lower Weezing's HP, you can then switch back out to Golduck so Damp is on the battlefield again, then after you can just focus on throwing whatever Pokeballs you think are required to catch it. So that's you can catch that annoyance. And what we just done here is in the Slumbering Wheel, in this place that some people have said reminds them of Legend of Zelda. I never played that game, so I can't really comment. But now we picked up the Rusted Sword and Rusted Shield from here. And now our goal is to head back out of here, which we're going to use, and I guess you can take a look at a lot of the key items I got to know over the course of the game. Use the escape rope to get out of here, because for some reason we can't fly out of this Slumbering Wheel. You have to use an escape rope. And our destination is Hammerlock, which is where I will end the episode. Let me just fly there first. And we've arrived, in which, if you could hear the music right now, it's rather ominous music, which does make sense because the Darkest Day has been activated, and the gallery is not exactly in a fun moment right now. But we'll finish up the climax of the story along with finishing up the main story of Pokemon Sword and Shield, hopefully in the following episode. So for those of you who have made it this far, I thank you for your support. Please like the video, leave a comment if your honest critiques. Subscribe if you like to see my further content for Pokemon videos. Hit the notification bell so you're alerted to when my videos go live. Follow me on Discord and Patreon, links in the description. And well, links will always be in the description of my videos. And if they don't work, shout at me in the comments so I can fix those links so you can actually get to my social media links. And I'll see you all next time. Take care!